Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dominique Martin, a licensed therapist. Some couples think their biggest problem is communication, but in many relationships, the real issue is something deeper, a lack of self-awareness. If you don't fully understand your emotions, needs, triggers, and boundaries, it becomes incredibly difficult for your partner to understand them too. And that's where many couples begin to have conflict. Today, I'm going to break down self awareness in relationships. So, what it is, why it's one of the most important skills for healthy relationships, how it affects communication, boundaries, and emotional needs, and some ways you can start becoming more self aware in your relationship. So, first, let's talk about what self awareness in a relationship really is. Self awareness means understanding your own thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and patterns, and recognizing how those things affect how you show up in your relationship, the impact on your partner and the relationship. For example, being self aware means noticing things like what emotions come up for you during conflict, what you need emotionally from your partner, or how you communicate, and what ways do you prefer to give and receive love, what your personal boundaries are, and what situations tend to trigger strong reactions in you. Self awareness ain't about blaming yourself or over analyzing everything. It's about having enough insight into your own inner world so that you can show up in your relationship intentionally instead of just reacting automatically. And this is important because when people become more self aware, relationships tend to become healthier and more satisfying. When you understand your own emotions and needs, you're much more likely to communicate them clearly. This means fewer misunderstandings, less frustration for both partners, and self awareness also helps create stronger emotional safety in a relationship. Instead of reacting defensively or shutting down during conflict, you're more able to pause and say something like, I'm actually feeling hurt right now. Or what I'm really needing here is reassurance. That shift from reacting to reflecting can completely change the tone of a conversation. Self awareness also helps couples create and respect healthy boundaries. So, boundaries might involve how you communicate during disagreements, how you handle personal space and time, or what behaviors feel respectful and safe in the relationship. When both partners understand their own boundaries, it becomes much easier to communicate them calmly instead of letting resentment build. And when emotional needs are understood and communicated, relationships satisfaction tends to increase. Partners feel more seen, supported, and understood. But the opposite is also true. A lack of self awareness can create a lot of relationship conflict. For example, someone might say to their partner, "You never listen to me," when what they actually feeling is hurt or unimportant or unheard. The real emotional need might be validation, attention, or the need to be heard. But if that need isn't recognized, it often comes out as criticism or frustration. Another example is emotional triggers. So maybe criticism makes you react strongly because it connects to deeper feelings of rejection or not being good enough. Without self awareness, those reactions can come out as anger, defensiveness, or emotional withdrawal. And when we don't understand our own reactions, it becomes much harder for our partners to understand them too. So the question becomes, how do you actually become more self aware in a relationship? So there are a few things you can start paying attention to. So the first is noticing your emotional triggers. When you feel a strong reaction or feeling overwhelmed, anger, hurt, sadness, or frustration, pause and ask yourself, what might be underneath that feeling? Often there's a deeper emotional need there. Another helpful step is identifying your emotional needs in the relationship. Ask yourself, what helps you feel secure and connected? That might be things like reassurance, quality time, appreciation, affection, or even personal space. Many conflicts happen not because needs are unreasonable, but because they never are communicated or expressed clearly. It's also important to notice your communication patterns, especially during stress or conflict. So, do you tend to say what you need, shut down, get defensive, raise your voice, or avoid conversations altogether? These patterns are very common, but recognizing them is the first step to changing them. Another powerful habit is reflecting, even after conflict. So instead of only focusing on what your partner did wrong, take a moment to ask yourself, what was I feeling in that moment? What need wasn't being met? Did I communicate that clearly? Reflection helps turn conflict into learning instead of repeating the same patterns. And finally, think about your boundaries. Healthy relationships involve understanding what feels emotionally respectful and safe for you. And that might include boundaries around communication style, personal time, responsibilities, or emotional support. Knowing your boundaries helps you communicate them clearly instead of reacting only after they've been crossed. Let me say this, self awareness doesn't make relationships perfect, but it does make them more intentional, more compassionate, and much more resilient. The more you understand yourself, your emotions, your needs, and your patterns, the better you can show up for your partner and build a relationship that feels supportive and fulfilling. The healthiest relationships ain't built by perfect people, they built by people who are willing to understand themselves and grow. When you become more aware of your emotions, your needs, and your triggers and your boundaries, you don't just improve your relationship with your partner, you improve your relationship with yourself. And that kind of awareness creates deeper connections and stronger communications and a relationship that feels supportive and fulfilling. Growth in relationships starts with awareness, and even small moments of reflection can create meaningful change over time. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more relationship insights. As always, stay motivated, and I'll see you on the next video.